Waiting for all the notifications to go out. Give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves. Minutes after 9 o'clock on this Thursday. Hey, do we have anybody new in the chat today that it's the first time watching? Now, you may be a lurker, so you don't have to comment and say that you're new, but type 33 if you're brand new, and that's all you have to say. And no one, I promise you, no one in the chat's going to say anything to you other than welcome aboard. I just want to make sure that everybody feels welcome here, because this is this group can be a little wild sometimes. I'm gonna keep it real. I mean, they get a little rambunctious, but they're a good group, and they will defend each other and take care of the meteorology side when I'm not paying attention and rambling. So they are a great group to have for any blog. So I feel very lucky to have you guys on every day. Hello to Shonda and Sean. Miss Susie Hobbs. How do you, Miss Susie? I spoke to her class at Old Mill Elementary. When was that, Susie? 1996, 1995? I don't know. It was a long time ago. Let's see. Wayne, you should have Belsky join you on one of these. He wants to. He would like to. Right now, it's just a matter of, a day that he's feeling okay. I would love to have him on, but right now, making sure he's feeling okay is more important. That new medicine says just lurking. All right, fair enough. Weather geek. Karen, come on. When I saw you out there at the fair, you seem like the rambunctious type. So You may seem innocent behind that name there, but I know you're quite the character. Okay, I tell you what, here's what we're going to do. Today's going to be a relatively easy setup when it comes to the blog today. A couple of highlights. I put this in the notes. I believe I put them in the notes that we're going to be updating on the drought status because we did have some rain last night. Now, the drought status obviously won't capture the rain, but as you're about to see, I don't think that's going to matter. Biggest challenge still is the extent of the heat wave, and not only in duration, but also in how intense is it going to get. That's still our biggest forecast challenge we have the entire 10-day. And I'll let you know where we stand on that and what is starting to show up as a trend a bit more. And then we'll get into an update on the celestial event for tonight if you're planning on staying up late. Okay, so we'll do this in baby steps, as usually the case. We'll begin with the live look. I believe they have this set in coordinate. Let me make sure. Yes, it is coordinated right now. And you guys actually in Harrison County and much of southern Indiana have that round of storms last night. I know Kevin had to do his stream pretty late. They came in aggressively with severe weather, but as we talked about yesterday, there's just not any support for them to have a long life on the radar. They can only sustain for so long and they just crumble. And I was hoping they would hold on just as much as I'm sure you guys that were watching it. You were hoping they would just get to your house. You know, severe weather or not, everyone's kind of, over that idea, but just plain rain, just get the rain to the house. It would be nice to hold us over for the next dry week we have coming our way. But it fell short in many areas. It certainly did in my house. I take that back. I had 1/100th of an inch of rain on my gauge this morning. I was like, all right, fine, I'll water. But only the annuals that are in pots, I'll take care of. Everything else has got to fend for itself. It's that time of the year where, how much do you really want to invest in your pretty yard, especially when it comes to annuals, because you're almost to the end of the season here, right? Not quite to the end, but almost. All right, 75 in Louisville, 68 into Bedford, Indiana. Paoli's missing. I don't know if you guys, there were so many lightning strikes last night. It wouldn't surprise me. Some of that could have been due to lightning. The high amounts of moisture really in the same spots where that batch of rain stopped, which was roughly around Tell City, Corden, near Louisville, all the way to about, I would say, parts of, I'll think of it, Meade County into Breckenridge County. Brain's not fully awake today. I did go back to the fair, by the way, last night, this time with family. And I almost rode some of those rides, believe it or not. But I got back a little late, so my brain's just kind of floating along here today. I think I can still hear the music of some of these rides. But a good time, as always. Always a good time. And I did get some chicken tenders. Okay. So anyway, we got the stopping point. Seems to be where a lot of the moisture is pulling up from last night and this morning. Now, this is going to be getting a little bit more of a kick because it's one of the setups where dry air is going to be flowing in from the northwest later today, and that's certainly going to end the rain chance northwest to southeast. So for those that got the rain last night, you'll be first to experience the drop in humidity, and therefore you'll be done from any rain chance. Those of you that have not picked up much in the rain yet will be some of the last for today. So here is just the last 24 hours alone where the radar says rain fell. Anywhere in the light green, I would say is a good 1/4 to 1/2 inch. You get into the darker green, you're up closer to 1 inch. You get into yellow, you're closer to 2 inches. And we did have a couple flash flood warnings in a couple spots because they just really did not want to move very much, or they moved, but as they were weakening, another one right in behind it was developing, and it was creating kind of a training effect of repeated nature over the same spots. But when you get into Louisville, you can see that it was, just not as exciting on the rain side there. I bet, hey, some winners. Congratulations. A round of applause, everybody. Let's give a round up. Everybody do the clap emoji. Round of applause there for Lawrence County. We've got, let's see, Orange County, Crawford County, Perry County, Du Bois, parts of Harrison, parts of Washington. I think I mentioned Breckenridge and Meade. You guys did win out. Jackson and Jennings and just Jackson. I don't know if Jennings really was getting too much in rain, but you got some of the moisture to get you out of watering today. Everywhere else, even if you do see a hint of green, this is not enough. You will have to still water. But It's important, again, where it stopped, because that's going to set the stage again for where the new storms will form. More on that in a second. As I mentioned, the drought status did update today. So let's take a look at the new map that came in an hour ago, and it shows nothing. No drought for any of our counties. However, if you were to expand the view, then you can really see that it's still a leftover effect from the rainy part of the season that we had into the Ohio Valley. Drought basically surrounds around us. Now, we obviously got rain last night. That was not factored in the sampling, so that should still buy you some time in the new status when the ground is sampled this Tuesday. So I don't see a lot of change for even on the drought status map 1 week from today. So that's the saving grace. The other reason why I think it's going to be slow to show any type of drought status is you have to keep in mind, even though we are talking about a solid 5 days, maybe 10, some of you maybe 15, where you're not getting measurable rain, the climate in our area is prone and it is very much used to getting abnormal amounts of rain on the lower end of the scale there. So it, for drier than normal, really doesn't impact the ground as much as if we were to go through this in June or July. It would be very dramatic week to week. But now we're entering the dry season. So the fact that we're going through a dry spell, it does it when you look at the map and look at the charts. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, it's supposed to be dry. So no, there's no change to the map. So I don't think there's going to be a significant adjustment to this until we go, say, the entire month with less than a quarter of an inch. That may happen in some cases in September. We'll see. But if you're really lacking on rain, I think we average, don't hold me to this, I want to say it's only 1.5 inches of rain in Louisville for the entire month of September. So you can see that if we're missing it, okay, fine, but it is the dry season. So as of now, I don't think it's going to be a huge concern for us to enter a huge drought status to enter into the fall. But we'll monitor it. The catalyst to this, what can change it? Mid-90s. If you are in the mid-90s on a daily basis, you can get what we call rapid onset drought, which throws everything I just told you out the window. The heat is relentless, and it bakes the ground to where the top layer of the topsoil dries out so much it becomes an instant significant drought status that can occur. But you got to be in the mid-90s daily with sun. I don't know if we're going to get to that status. I think low 90s are fair, but daily mid 90s, I don't know if that's quite what we're talking about here. So what I'm trying to say in a very long-winded, rambling way is that I don't think the map's going to change significant for at least a couple of weeks. But no doubt it is getting drier. So I just want you to think, oh, why is the drought status not changing? It's dry out there. You know, I drove through my driveway in the gravel and there was just all dust everywhere. And yeah, I get that, but it's got to keep in mind, this is the dry season. So this is nothing unusual. Okay. Does that make sense? Make sure everybody's, let's see, you're talking about ketchup, mustard, corn dogs. See what I mean? Pay no attention to me whatsoever. That's fine. That's fine. I entertain myself, and that's all that matters. I get this out of my system so that I don't bore Tawana or Ryan when they come in later on. So it allows me to be a nerd for a minute and vent. All right. So who's going to get the rain today? Because we're not done with the rain chance. I mentioned it dropping down into Kentucky, part of Kentucky last night. I know it made it sound like it's over. It's not over. The boundary's still here. It's just whether or not now it's going to fire on this side of Louisville or on this side of Louisville. And it's a good question. So far, by looking at the satellite, because this is a little bit of low clouds and fog, I think that the Parkways is a good spot to see the initiating point today. It'll take until about, I would say 2 or 3 o'clock, 2 or 3 o'clock maybe. And that's when they'll begin to form. They will not be as impressive as what Indiana had last night, by the way, with a little bit of organized wind potential. These will be very blotchy, best way to word it. And they'll be drifting quickly toward I-75 in Lexington, perhaps by 5, 6 o'clock. They'll already be out of our area. So it's only a very short window. But if you're traveling south on 65 or east on 64, just a heads up, you may drive into one of those downpours. But around Louisville, at this point, we'll get the very low end chance for a few more hours to see if we're on the too close to that developing point. Being around the heat down effect always makes me nervous on that. But right now, I think we're okay. In the Indiana, you're good because you just went through the rain last night. All right, so the moisture level does show up. Let me trigger that on. You guys love the map, the PUATs for precipitable water, and you can see that a couple things there. Well, first off, you don't have the really deep greens, right? You can see hint of it around Charlotte, but we used to have this over us day in, day out. It was just like tropical moisture over us. We don't have that, but it is just enough that we got to keep at least a chance for a few of these downpours to pop. But notice the dry air. Oh, there it is. What does that sound? Whoop, there it is. Anyway, there it is, driving in now across the Great Lakes, heading our way. It'll be arriving later tonight into your Friday morning. So let me get into the Futurecast. This is a lot of the fuel that's in the red indicator. There are clouds on here, but I know it's a little faint to see, so I apologize. But the gold being the fuel for any type of storm action today, and you can see outlines of really nice around the Parkways area and into Lexington as well, with highs getting back into the 80s. Another very warm day today. All right, for tonight, 11 o'clock tonight. Radar calms down. Okay, that's that's good. Cloud cover starts to thin out, break up over the area. It doesn't look like it there because I'm showing you the fuel. I don't know if I can turn. Yeah, I'll have to go into a different file to turn it off. So I'll leave it on, but just trust me on the clouds thinning out. Fair enough. We get into your early Friday morning. There could actually be a leftover sprinkle. Some of this, I think, is a little bit of very low stratus that develops. I saw this yesterday, and I believe it was the HER model was showing a batch of showers from Louisville to Cincinnati Friday morning. And I thought, well, this is different. This has not been on any piece of data I've looked so far. And there is a little pocket of moisture. It's on the other side of the banner, a little closer to, say, Sandusky, Ohio. And it drops down into southeast Indiana and near Louisville late, about this time, actually, late tomorrow morning and midday. But the problem is sometimes these models read rain like that, little blips of green. It's just cumulus clouds, so I don't want to buy into it. But it's like a secondary wave of moisture that drops in Friday. It wouldn't surprise me. This may grow or potentially become a few sprinkles for Friday morning. So even though we're talking about the rain chance today, and I don't think we have any in tomorrow, don't be surprised if we suddenly add a 10% in tomorrow because of this little ripple that comes in from Lake Erie and moves a little backwards. It's been interesting, fascinating. The moisture is very, very shallow with it. So I don't think it's a huge ordeal, but I know if you're going to wash your car, you're going to be calling me all kinds of names if it aims toward you. But again, right now I'm thinking it's just the model reading as cumulus instead of rain. All right. Otherwise, we get some low humidity in here as we head into your Friday and Saturday, looking fantastic. Fantastic this weekend. Okay. Then we get into the, before I get to the long term, we get into the celestial event for tomorrow night. So the easiest way to do it, instead of showing you the clouds and where they're at, let's just show you the sky condition. If you are in green, you are in good shape to witness the lunar eclipse of the moon tomorrow night. Starts at about 10. You may not notice much at 10 o'clock. I would say if you really want to see where we're at, if you're watching 11 o'clock news, go out not long after that, and then all the way through about midnight. That should be the max. That'll have that reddish or almost brown, but like a reddish tint to it. When you look at the moon, look to the southeast. If you are, I noticed this when I was at the fair last night. I mean, that moon was very bright in that sky. Hard to miss. I'm hoping the sky is just as clear as it was last night, because boy, it's very easy to spot. So no telescope really needed unless you really want to look at it close up there. I mean, our phones these days probably can do just as good of a zoom than anything. But so far looks good. And again, it's technically going to be a 96%. So that's why it gets the term of partial. 10:33 is the start time, maxing out 12:12 at 96. Only one little corner of the moon will not be blocked by the Earth. And then it's over by 1:51 in the morning. Did I say tomorrow night? It is tonight. Sorry. Correct me if I'm saying the wrong time periods. You guys got to stay on me. It is tonight that I'm referring to into tomorrow morning. So if I said that wrong, Red, I'm sorry. All right. So again, tonight the clouds should move out, and then by the time we get into tomorrow morning, that is when it'll be over with. So you've got, actually, it'll begin in about 12 hours from now. 12 hours away. Cool. All right. So what we're going to do for the longer term is I'm going to do the same as the past several days. Display the red colors, indicate the core of the heat, and your showers and storms there will be on the edges of that overall. We get into Sunday, you're going to start to feel the 90s. The core of the heat looks to be Monday or Tuesday. That's when we have the best chance to go above 93. I don't know yet how far we're going to get it because I checked soil moisture again today. It's lower, but it's not anything wow. So I think the model's showing 103 for a high temperature during this period, still just way too high. So we're going to stick with 93, and we did bump up a 94 for the core of the heat there to account for the city of Louisville, but a lot of you will be more 91s and 92s. Nothing crazy. It's just more of an issue that it's prolonged for nearly a solid week. So at this point, we're already thinking of fall. So I don't know if you have, your temporary pools you had out. If you have the neighborhood pool, that's hopefully still open good. If you have a way to cool off, great. But a lot of the water parks in general, everything's kind of just, off season now. So find ways to stay cool. And maybe plan some of those walks in the evening hours. If you're in the shade, it won't be too bad because the humidity will be felt as the week wears on. There will be nothing like June and July. Nothing like that. So, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're going to sweat walking around because you're going to be in the 90s, the heat index. I would say the heat index is going to average about 100 to 101. So that's hot enough. Now, late week, this is where we get into the oddness of the pattern because we don't know how much this is going to bounce out. So here's the center of the heat. Anytime you see the gray or the white color, by the way, it's not a good sign. I mean, this is a full-on dome here of heat. But there is a weakness to it on the northeast side. This is your ring of fire. If this can form MCSs along it and track across very familiar spots of Chicago into Indiana and Ohio, there is a chance one or two may try to at least attempt to build down into wave country as we head into the end of next week. If that happens, that it would be an absolute bust in the forecast. That would, if they arrive in enough time, even the clouds from one of them, if they arrive at the right amount of time, can completely keep us out of the 90s and stay in the 80s instead. So a lot of question marks. Our forecast confidence is highest really until we get to Thursday. After Thursday, everything kind of just derails. So expect some changes in the very end of the 10-day until we get an idea of how close are we going to be to this ring of fire. Because it's only a brief little ripple that happens. Let me show you. Let me advance this a little bit more. And you can see how the heat core, and this is the last frame. This gets, I see a crash there in Shelby County. Thank you, Wavy. This is going to be Sunday morning, right before we get to Labor Day. And the core of the heat over the plains, absolutely brutal for them. They're already in a bad drought situation. So this is going to be really, really bad for the plains. And the ring of fire, though, if it establishes like it does, then the ring of fire then gets pushed more north and east and away from us. So there is a chance the heat will be in place as we enter into early next week. It maxes out again Monday and Tuesday. It may ease a bit Thursday because of an MCS in Chicago. But as soon as that ripple goes by, there is a chance the heat may go back up again into Labor Day weekend, back into the lower 90s. So a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but I do not see anything here that's screaming to me that we have a front or a change that is going to just end the 90s in the near term, and we're done with that for the season, or at least for a break. I do not see that. So right now, this pattern has free reign through at least mid-September. One of the models I love to look at for a pattern change, the CFS, doesn't always do great, but it is signaling for a 2025 repeat for us, which would mean that fall would arrive on the day it's scheduled to, which would be around the 22nd of September. There is a significant signal of a change then. So maybe it arrived right on the first day of fall, which, okay, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, weather's just fall on the calendar doesn't always do that. It's very nice and graceful that does that. But it also means that we may be dealing with 20 to 22 days of 90-degree heat. Yikes. Summer's last gasp here is going to be very, very prolonged. All right. Any questions on all that? I wish I had better news. Here's the output look on rainfall, by the way, for the next 7 days. Well, some of this is today. So take today out of it, and really all you got is this is the stuff for the Ring of Fire to the north of us. But for the rest of us, yep. And you tell under the dome, yikes. All right, let me show you the 10-day, and then I'm going to run. Try not to sneeze. I always bite my lip. That works, right? Or if you want to sneeze, you bite your lip. You're going to do that. I used to always cut my legs. I bite it because I just did not want to sneeze. I've never sneezed on air. I don't think. Tawana, have I ever sneezed on air? You would remember. All right, so here's the look at that 10-day. Ooh, lots of sunshine and lots of 90s coming into play. Any questions on that? Stephanie, how you doing, Stephanie? Hopefully only 80s for Labor Day weekend, a craft fair. Let's hope. And let's hope if you get the 90s, that the humidity will be low enough to where in the shade, especially being around a tent, that being in the shade won't be that bad, which is possible. Record highs. Oddly enough, a lot of the record highs are in the upper 90s. It's in near 100 in some cases there. So we've had the 2019 heat did a number on our records. I mean, we were pushing 97 or 98 all the way into the first weekend of October in 2019. I'm not sure if you remember that. I remember how the leaves were trying to change and they couldn't. They were just dying and falling off. That was a miserable fall, right? Now for Lighter Than Life and Bourbon and Beyond, this could be a good pattern if it can hold on. My fear is that by the time things get going, then that's when the pattern change will hit, and we get stormier. But there's no doubt if you have anything planned outside, getting a new roof done, you're going to be staining outside, any outdoor projects you want to take care of. This is a pattern that you want to take advantage of. We don't get this we've not had this very often this summer is what I'm trying to say. And we have it now. So if you have the opportunity to do it, then go for it. Yeah, I have sneezed in the background. Thanks, Joanna. Dan going to Dollywood Labor Day weekend. Rain possibly down there. Possibly they'll be on the edge of that, but they also get a lot of mountain lift from this kind of pattern, so they can get just daily showers. They usually don't last too long there in Dollywood. I was there at Labor Day weekend near that last year, and it wasn't too bad. We had rain, but there was still a lot to do there. And I know now going to Dollywood would be highly significant now to see the park. So let us know what your experience is like down there. I'm sure they've added some things to tribute to our favorite fan there. All right, everyone good? All right. My voice is kind of fading out, so I'm just going to leave it at there for now, and then I'll talk to you guys coming up on midday at 11 a.m. and again at 3 o'clock. Again, I know you guys don't have to jump on here because it's so quiet, but I appreciate you do. Even if you're just saying hello, it just also tells me you're okay, and I recognize names. And when I start noticing that some of you are disappearing and I don't know where you went, I worry if you're all right or not. So it's always nice to see you chiming in, even if you're just saying hi. And I don't get a chance to acknowledge everybody, but I do see all the comments. I promise you I do. Okay, even the bad ones from Adam. Have a good one, everybody. I will see you guys coming up again on midday at 11 a.m. See you soon. Bye-bye.